Dino ribs are the biggest, baddest ribs on the playground. But can we make them even better? Today we'll be fermenting these ribs in a variety of Korean ingredients for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 10 full days. And like usual, at the end of the video, I'll be doing a completely blind taste test to see if fermenting them for so long makes any difference and to see which one comes out on top. And with that, let's get started. Okay, first things first, I gotta show you guys what we're working with today. These right here are dino ribs. The first thing you'll notice is that ridiculous marbling. This is just a choice grade rack, but honestly, it almost looks like Wagyu. Another very important element is you'll see that there are exactly 3 long bones. Sometimes you'll see the chuck short ribs. Those only have 4 and they're a lot shorter. So if you imagine the anatomy, we have the rib bones here. The big rib eyes would sit right above, right around here on the cow. And because these are directly below those beautiful rib eyes, these are gonna be the meatiest short ribs possible. Now, before we get into any of the marinating and fermenting steps, the first thing we're gonna do is prep the short ribs the way we always would. And as you'll see, there's this pretty thick fat cap / silver skin over the top. There is so much marbling in here that the extra fat isn't necessary, and leaving it on prevents us from developing a great bark. And a trick I've learned is to find a piece attached like this. Start by putting your knife in like so, and just kind of work it facing upwards slightly, allowing you to get off big slices at a time. And just like that, our 4 sets of plate short ribs are all trimmed up, and it's time to show you guys what we're gonna be adding to them. And first up, we have kimchi. Next up, a unique sauce called ssamjang. Next up, we have gochujang. And last but not least, we have soy sauce. And what you'll notice is that these are all Asian / Korean inspired sauces / ingredients. And the reason is the greatest dish in the entire world is something called galbi. It's a Korean dish made with beef short ribs. It's marinated in a whole bunch of amazing Korean ingredients. And for that reason, I hope these combinations will work incredibly well. So the first one is kimchi. This is actually a fermented food. It's basically just Napa cabbage, sometimes a variety of different vegetables, but it is super delicious. And you're about to witness me consume vegetables for maybe the first, hopefully the last time on this channel.
Psych!
I'm just kidding. That's actually amazing. I personally love kimchi. It's super crunchy. If you haven't tried it, you absolutely have to. Next up, we have a sauce that, as I mentioned, is called ssamjang. It's often served with Korean barbecue. However, if you do ever want to elevate your vegetable game, this is an incredible dipping sauce. And for the second time ever, and hopefully the last, you're gonna watch me eat some ssamjang with a cucumber. I think this is a cucumber.
I have no idea.
It's salty,
A lot of umami in there. It's sort of like a fermented soybean.
and it makes whatever this is taste pretty good. And next up here, we have our gochujang. This one's gonna be a little bit more spicy, but once again, it has a fermented soybean base to it. So we're kind of following the trend here with the fermented sauces and ingredients. It's just so flavorful. Definitely has a kick to it. I think this one may just be the winner. And last but certainly not least, we have soy sauce. Now, believe it or not, this is also a fermented ingredient. Absolutely fundamental when it comes to Asian cooking. It tastes pretty good. It's nice and salty.
I feel like it could come out good.
Okay, and without further ado, it is time to add all of our fermented ingredients to the short ribs. I'm just gonna go in with my hands. And as you can see, there is a lot of moisture in here. I'll start by just adding the kimchi itself. Then I'll throw it in a bag, let it kind of brine in there, but just going right over the top with a whole bunch of kimchi. Next up, we got that ssamjang. Feels very weird to have this in my hands. It's almost like clay or Play-Doh or something. Just massage the meat. And next up, that spicy gochujang paste. Definitely erring on the side of using more rather than less. Really want to make sure that flavor is kind of all throughout and fully penetrates. But next up, we have the soy sauce. I'm gonna throw this right on top. No, see, that would not work. This is a liquid. We're gonna throw this in a bag first. In hindsight, probably should have put all the meat in bags before covering them with sauces and staining my entire setup here. We'll add all the soy sauce into the bag and we'll get this sealed up. Okay, time to try to get this one in a bag. Definitely made a mistake here, adding the sauce prior to going in the bag. I can't get in there. Get in there, come on, baby. Okay, and we'll seal this one up as well. Next up, our ssamjang covered short ribs. Hoping for easier entry here. There we go. Not bad. And time to try and get this kimchi covered. Oh, it's a complete disaster. Well, it's in. Just stuffing kimchi in a bag. It's a standard Friday night. Now, what I assume is gonna be the most important part, the leftover liquid, that brine juice, and I'll get this sealed up.
We have a stunning Tibby prancing on the cutting board.
Stunning Tibby in his natural habitat. All right, and we have all of our meat completely bagged up. The only thing left to do is throw these in the fridge, and I gotta wait 10 long days and 10 long nights for these to ferment. Fortunately for you guys, you don't have to wait that long. It'll probably be about 5 seconds from now. And just like that, it has been exactly 10 days. Let's see what we got. And number one, we'll be slicing into the gochujang marinated with that nice deep red color. Definitely smells like gochujang. The color on this thing is absolutely beautiful. Sort of reminds me of like a Korean barbecue feast with that smell. But either way, let's move on to the soy sauce. Smells like soy sauce. It's really darkened up in color, and it's definitely gotten a bit more firm, almost like it's been brined, but it looks quite nice. And next up, we have the ssamjang. Crack this baby open. Whoa. Almost looks like it's covered in peanut butter. And this one's definitely taken on an interesting color. We have those chunks of soybean on there as well. It looks super flavorful, but only time will tell if it'll actually taste good. Last but not least, the real reason we're all here, we have our 10-day fermented dino rib in kimchi. And as you can see, there's just a whole bunch of liquid that came off from that kimchi, which hopefully led to a great brining. And right off the bat, I can tell the smell of this is unbelievable. You know, there was a small part of me that was like, maybe after 10 days, it'll ferment, get all weird and like rotten. So I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys and say that this thing is looking good. It has certainly gotten more pale as it was fermenting, but to be honest, that doesn't really matter. The only thing I care about is if it affected the taste. So to really find out if there was any benefit marinating and fermenting for 10 days, my plan is to cook these using 2 different methods. The first is to thinly slice and grill over charcoal. And the next, my personal favorite, is to smoke them low and slow. So on each of these plates, we have 3 bones, 1, 2, and 3. Between these 2, there's the most amount of meat. So what I'm gonna do is remove this 3rd smaller one. Interesting, you can see it doesn't visually look like there's been too much penetration from the gochujang, but to be honest, it's been marinating for so long, it could have easily penetrated all the way through, and that's why we have that nice deep red color. Next, I'll remove this from the bone. It is quite thin at this point, but I'm just gonna do my best to take some nice thin slices. And these slices here will be perfect for method number 1 of cooking. And over here, we have the remaining 2 ribs, which are gonna be perfect for the smoker. And next up, our soy sauce marinated rack. Smells pretty good, looks pretty good. As you can see, this one is a lot more meaty. Once again, taking some slices, doing my best to cut against the grain. And next up, the ssamjang. Following that bone. And this one is a bit messy, but just taking our slices. And last but not least, we have the kimchi. Because I want to develop a nice bark on the meat itself, I'm actually gonna remove all this leftover kimchi. Oh man, I can tell it is completely packed with liquid. It's almost like it's waterlogged. And we'll remove that bone. And this right here is why I love beef short ribs. There is just ridiculous marbling in there, which makes them always come out insanely juicy and flavorful. All right, and we are just about ready to get on the grill. Now, I am actually gonna season these. There is a fair amount of salt content on there already, but because they are big, they should be able to take a good amount of seasoning. And I'm gonna keep it super simple with just a salt and pepper based rub. Starting here with the gochujang, keeping it pretty light. There is a lot of salt, especially in something like gochujang. And soy sauce does have a ton of salt as well, so keeping this one a bit more light too. I hit the ssamjang, our kimchi fermented, and of course the control. No binder, in my opinion, there's never really a need for it. It's sticking on quite well. And with that, it is finally time to get them all on the grill. So we have our meat on the grill. Should I show you guys how to make kimchi? Like, I'm Max the meat guy, I'm not Max the kimchi guy. I figured I might as well show it, but we're gonna keep it super quick. We're gonna make kimchi in exactly 30 seconds. So this is a challenge for the editor. Chris, you got this. Starting off here with some Napa cabbage. Slice that the long way, then chop into chunks just like this. Hit it with some salt, then really get in there and massage the cabbage. Add some water, then press down using a weight like so. Then you'll have to wait a good 1 to 2 hours, then we'll rinse it off. Microplane some garlic as well as some of your finger. Ouch, that hurts. Some extremely pungent shrimp paste, some Korean chili flakes for that beautiful color. Slice up some matchsticks of daikon radish, some green onion, sesame seeds. Bring back the masseuse vibes, and finally jam that into a jar. And just like that, our speed run of kimchi making is complete. Let this sit at room temp for anywhere from like 1 to 7 days. Enough of these vegetables. Let's see what's going on outside on the grill. And the short ribs have been on for just about 6 hours at this point. They've developed some incredible bark. Time to bring them inside to wrap to finish up the cooking process. And starting off with our kimchi fermented. And for your reference, the internal temp at this point is right around 170 Fahrenheit. And we'll wrap up our present. Next up, the samjang. And I have to say the bark on this one looks even better. And once again, we'll wrap it up. Next up, the control. Pretty standard bark, but by no means is that a bad thing. Now we have the gochujang. Might be sort of hard to see on camera, but it does have a bit more of a reddish hue to it, and it's just beautiful. And last but not least, we have the soy sauce. Just pretty good looking bark. Not really too much to say about this one. Before we go any further, it is time for a couple quick words about Max Jerky. Now, I know a lot of you guys know about my jerky company. This is something we've put literally a decade of hard work into, and I'm extremely grateful to everybody who's tried it. We have 4 really awesome flavors. This right here is the greatest way to support us. If you do enjoy the videos, Max Jerky is the way to do it. And on top of that, if you're watching this video before November 27th, 2023, we are offering a 50% discount site-wide if you shop through YouTube on the carousel down there or through one of the links on my videos. The biggest discount we'll ever offer for a very limited time, so take advantage. And it has been 2 more hours. All of our short ribs have reached 203 Fahrenheit, which is perfect. They are now super tender. Let's check them out. And first up, we have the kimchi fermented. Next up, the samjang, then the gochujang, the soy sauce, and of course, the control. I have to say, these are looking absolutely incredible. The kimchi one probably has the least strong bark. Sort of makes sense because it was sort of sitting in moisture throughout that 10-day fermentation process. And if I had to choose one that I think looks the best, I feel like I have to go with the samjang. They're all pretty close in color, but the samjang one just seems to have a bit more texture. I cannot take it any longer. It is time to slice these up. And we'll start off with the control. And whipping out the brand new brisket slicer, that purple handle. This right here is why the dino rib is often considered one of the best bites in barbecue. I can tell this thing is super tender, and I mean, the visual just speaks for itself. This thing is juicy. And it is time for the soy sauce fermented. And let's see what we got. And now the gochujang. Gotta say the bark on this one looks ridiculous. It is just super dark and it looks so flavorful. And let's go for a slice. Honestly, they just keep looking better and better. I mean, you can almost hear it just. And now it is time for the samjang. I actually think I'm most excited for this one. Let's go for a slice. And this one is just a big old boy. She thick. So clearly this one is a bit thicker than the other ones, and you can kind of see how it isn't quite as rendered as the rest. Next time I'd probably cook this for another 15-20 minutes, but either way, I can tell it's still gonna come out great. And last but certainly not least, we have the kimchi. Whoa, what? Dude, no way. What is going on here? Look at the color on these short. This is insane. It's almost like it's been literally brined with like curing salt. I mean, it's pink. I have to say, it is not very often that I am genuinely stunned by experiments. If anybody understands the science behind this, please help me understand. But what matters most is of course the taste. It is currently 2:21 a.m. We got our taste tester Ty here. Kyle, please help me do the honors. That's a hefty big boy. Cheers. That was so freaking good. There was a little bit of a bite to it, the seared. Okay, so that seared one was a lot spicier. The only spicy one should be the gochujang. Number 2. A lot more flavor to this one, actually. I definitely got a lot of saltiness. I feel like this one is soy sauce. Number 3. My gut feeling is that this one is just the control. I'm straight up getting the meat sweats already. Number 4. Usually when you cook barbecue, there's a lot of flavor on the exterior, but in this case, it is literally just jam-packed. I feel like this one's kimchi. I think this one's my favorite so far. Number 5. A complex sweetness to it. 90% sure that that was a samjang. So it's time to figure out how we did.
100%.
Woo! Yeah, 2:30 a.m. party. Well, eating it in seared form is more difficult to tell the difference between them. Overall, I feel like I prefer all the fermented ones over the regular one. And if I had to choose a favorite, it would actually be the kimchi one. Not only does it have a really cool color, but it also tastes absolutely amazing. If you ever want to experiment with fermenting meats, whether it's brisket, short rib, definitely give this a shot. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure that you like the video and that you're subscribed to the channel. Also be sure to check out our jerky company at maxjerky.com. I'll see you next time. Oh, where are we going? Ooh, I'm starving over here.
Max, is there enough smoke?
Oh yeah.